We live in a land of rain. The rain falls and must go somewhere. In urban areas where there's less open land to absorb the rain, most of that water flows off. This stormwater runoff is the #1 pollution problem in Puget Sound. Water leaving the land carries contaminants from 4 million people. That enters streams, rivers, and ultimately the Sound. Stormwater delivers non-point source pollution, including oil, fertilizers, pesticides, animal waste, and heavy metals, which enter water systems and can cause flooding, damage property, and harm habitats. Better stormwater management is one of 8 objectives to work on in the next 10 years, as identified in the Puget Sound Partnership's 2020 Action Agenda, endorsed by Governor Gregoire. Local and state agencies are working with nonprofits to employ low-impact development and other management techniques with various systems in place to reduce stormwater runoff. Puget Sound's growing population compounds the issue of stormwater. More people and more concrete means less forest and less land, leading to more runoff. Low-impact development and other best management practices seek to recreate original forest conditions and slow down runoff. This diagram illustrates native soil and forest without development. Only 15% of surface water is running off. In a developed environment like Puget Sound, the runoff increases dramatically, with 55 to 70% of surface water entering waterways, carrying pollutants. As citizens, our actions can help reduce stormwater runoff and non-point source pollution as well.
Stormwater starts with source control. Source control starts with you. It's the most important thing when you're washing your car, when you're fertilizing your lawn. Just use smart practices. Anything that runs off these freeways, the mall, your yards, and the watershed will enter the storm pipes. Your activities and anything that leaves your property contributes to water quality. All points drain to catch basins on the surface. There is no treatment within the storm system. The catch basins are where you see the little markers in the grate. When these systems back up, it'll cause flooding, especially in Hosmer Basin this last year. You can have the strongest contribution to helping us prevent flooding and increase stormwater quality by every house, every property. If you can install rain gardens and increase detention, you prevent contaminants from coming down into our nearby water bodies like Wapito Lake, and you lower the peak flow. You lower the chance for flooding. Essentially, every property, every yard can be a treatment system. And that's ultimately how we benefit the receiving waters and Puget Sound.
In this part of the garden here, I collect rainfall from the downspout and also from the driveway that slopes into this direction. It's a great resource in terms of letting the water soak through the ground. The big idea is to just slow things down and take out the things that are on my driveway that aren't really good for the stream.
What we're doing here at Upper Buckley Gulch is removing invasive plants like ivy, clematis, and we're putting in its place native plants and restoring this area to its natural state. So we've been doing this for several years now, and when it's a nice warmer day, we'll have 20 people at a time coming out here, most of them neighbors, and it's been a great way for us as a community to get to know each other and to have something in common with our surroundings.
By testing our creeks and water and surface waters, they're often looking for nutrients, phosphorus, nitrogen, and such, heavy metals, and oil products. When rainwater falls, it picks up contaminants off the road, off our roofs, off our yards. The contaminants actually in stormwater is what the water quality issue is. By treating on-site in your yards and preventing those from entering the creeks, which Stream Team is monitoring, ultimately will be the benefit of the Sound, preventing and limiting contamination of Puget Sound by stormwater contaminants.
We've been monitoring eelgrass beds with divers since 2001. Eelgrass is home to 95% of the marine organisms in Puget Sound at a life stage. Small fish species hide in the eelgrass and forage off the insects on the eelgrass. So it's like the building block. Well, what we've learned is that we have viable bed and metal, but they're not growing because of some other polluting and sediment issue problems out here. Problem is that pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, fertilizers that are non-environmentally friendly that people are using, they're washing their cars, their oils draining onto the impervious surfaces in the watershed. All that drains into the soil. That stormwater or groundwater is still going into the beach area and contaminating the nearshore habitat, thus contaminating the eelgrass beds and everything else in the area. And it's important to understand and monitor the eelgrass in the beach areas because it's still being adversely affected by stormwater and contaminated issues, even if it is not raining anymore.
Our stormwater runoff system is designed to move water as it comes from the rains, of course, but that's not the only time water hits our streets. There's daily living that goes on. People like to have green lawns or healthy plants in their yard, and so practices like using organic fertilizers, more natural pesticides and herbicides that aren't going to impact our local waterways. Just because it's not raining doesn't mean water's not going into a storm drain. Reduce our impacts on local waterways through our daily living. That's going to be the most important thing. Sound and keeping it clean. And to the little kids out here, this is their future. This is their Puget Sound. So it's in their best interest if they can kind of pick up on some of these simple activities that will make a difference in their waters and their marine environments. Don't wash your car on the street. Wash your car on the grass. Go to a car wash. Just because it's not raining doesn't mean water's not going into a storm drain. Hoses empty water into our storm drains all the time. So we have to be aware that storm drains are a local catchment system that take all the water, even if it's from a hose or rain.
By helping to improve conditions in the upper watershed, it's all interconnected because what happens in one part of the system does affect the other. So you have to work on the entire system to restore any and all aspects of it.
You can't pretend that you are living in a vacuum, and stormwater is the biggest proof on earth that we do not live in a vacuum. When you get on that road to go driving to Grandma's house, it's not you in your car. What you're doing affects stormwater. It's important that people understand that those cartoons they may have seen in 6th grade science books about the water cycle, they live there. All of those variables are influenced by human activity. They cannot say it's some other guy's problem. It's all of our problem.
We live in a land of rain. This rain is part of the reason we have ample places to drink fresh water and enjoy water-based recreation. The costs of stormwater, including physical, chemical, and financial damages to our communities, touches all of us. Now is your opportunity to take simple steps to reduce the impacts of stormwater on our environment. Together we can make a difference.